Questions are the answer, as Dale Carnegie wrote. But asking the wrong question risks driving your clients away. So which questions should you ask, and when should you ask them? It can be easy when you start your journey as a life coach or counsellor to assume you need to be asking questions all the time in your therapy sessions, right? Wrong. This is actually not the case. Imagine this. If you were to ask your client, let's call them Mary, what made you think that shouting at your son was the best thing to do? Why do you say that? What did you do next? What happened? How did they respond? And so on and on and on. I'm guessing you're thinking, wow, that's awful. And if you were Mary, I suspect you wouldn't come back. I know I wouldn't. If you sit there asking question after question after question, you're soon going to find your clients are not returning. So why is this? Well, simply because they will feel interrogated, and nobody wants to feel interrogated, right? So yes, you need to ask questions, but you need to time them to perfection. The goal for your questions is not to lead your client to the answer you think they should say, but rather to ask questions that empower your client to think for themselves. Nor should you be asking mundane questions that are designed to satisfy your curiosity only. Imagine if you had a client, we'll go with Mary again, and Mary came to you for help with her relationship. And you asked her, where do you live? And I'm really curious, Mary, what time do you take a shower each day? What's your favourite food? Where did you grow up? What were your parents like? I think you'll agree those questions are quite ridiculous. They have nothing whatsoever to do with the issue that Mary has come to you for help with. Share your thoughts on this in the chat below. So let's quickly recap what not to do. Number one, to avoid at all costs, is interrogating your client. And number two, do not ask questions that satisfy your curiosity but are irrelevant to the issue your client wants help with. Okay, so you know what not to do, but what then can you do that will help your client achieve the changes that they seek? Excellence in counselling and coaching comes when we can help our clients draw their own answers from themselves. After all, as Carl Rogers has taught us, the client is the expert in their life, right? The questions that you ask need to create curiosity in your client. They need to stimulate reflective conversation, provoking thought. To do this, you need to pace your questions carefully. Give your client time to think. The chances are they've never been asked the sort of questions that you're asking ever before. And in fact, you'll know when you've asked a power question when your client sits back and says, that's a good question. One of the most powerful techniques you can use in your work with clients is to say nothing. Silence gives your client the space to think. Silence gives your clients the time that they need to come up with their own ideas. But for silence to be effective, you need to ask a question that opens the door to possibilities for your client to ponder. So, what actually can you ask? Let's take a look. Great questions will bring to the surface assumptions and bias that may be lying hidden in the subconscious. Great questions for this are open questions. Think of it this way. You want to open doors in your client's mind with your questions, not close them. To do this, you need to be asking what and how questions. If you ask closed questions such as, do you think? Or is it? All you're doing is creating blocks in the flow of conversation. Asking closed questions limits your client's answer. But what you want to do is create unlimited possibilities in your client's mind. Now, a quick word here on a huge bugbear of mine that I see over and over again when I'm assessing the Diploma of Counselling and Life Coaching Practicals for students. And this bugbear is leading questions. A leading question is one that subtly imposes your own values onto your client. It leads the client to the answer you think they should be saying. And that's not going to be effective because they're not going to own the answer. Imagine this. Your client, let's stick with Mary, tells you that she wants to go for a promotion at work, but is hesitating because she knows at least 3 other people better qualified than she is are also applying. Now, you know that Mary has struggled with her self-worth in the past, and she's quit jobs when she's not felt recognised. You're worried that if she applies for the job but gets rejected, she's going to feel dreadful and may think of quitting again. You want to protect her from this fate, and so you ask, Mary, do you think it's really worth going for it when you know others are better qualified? What impact would that question have on Mary? Put your comments in the chat below. Chances are you've magnified the doubt that already exists in her mind, but you've just shone a spotlight on it. You've led her to a negative conclusion that it's far safer not to apply for the job. And you have no right to draw that conclusion. Mary is the one and the only one that has the right to make her own choices. Consider instead the impact of asking Mary, so what experiences can you share at interview that demonstrates your skills, showing that you are the person for this role? That question will likely get Mary thinking of practical examples that show she is equipped for the new role, regardless of the fact she doesn't have a particular qualification. See the difference? The second question invites creativity and new possibilities for Mary, encouraging her to think of a situation in a different way. This generates energy and forward movement, and that is what will provoke change for your clients. The quality of your life coaching or counselling will largely be determined by the quality of the questions you ask. So let's take a deeper look at some power questions that you could ask that will do all this. First of all, let's take a look at some questions that will help your clients to solve a problem. The first question you could ask is, so what's great about this problem? This question helps them to start thinking about the problem in a different way. Creating an energy shift can often reveal possibilities that were hidden when the focus was solely on the negative. It's a problem, it's nasty, it's to be avoided. It starts them thinking of, okay, well, what's good about this? Another question you could ask is, what needs to happen to get things the way that you want them to be? You could also ask, and what are you willing to do to make changes, to make it the way you want it? This question helps to identify any possible barriers or blocks that could get in the way. People will often do far more to avoid pain than they will to get what they desire. So you could ask, what are you willing to stop doing to get things the way that you want? In other words, what are they prepared to give up? You could ask, and how can you enjoy the process while you do what's necessary to make the changes that you want? This is a great question to identify motivational factors that they can then look forward to doing, making it far more likely that they're going to keep taking action. Let me know in the comments below if this has been helpful, and if it is, I'll do more videos sharing questions that you can ask to help your clients change their state from a very negatively focused one of this is too hard, it's too much, I can't, to a state of hope and energy and can-do thinking. So now you're armed with a ton of questions that you can use to better serve your clients when paced in the right way and asked at the right time. You're going to give your clients the time to process and come up with answers for themselves that they will feel they own, making action far more likely. But none of that is going to be any good if you can't first attract clients to your practice, right? For help with this, watch this video next to find out how you can build a list of prospects eager to become your client. Thanks for watching. I know you can do it, so why the hell not?